Welcome everyone to the transfer student webinar for the College of Engineering admitted students. We are super excited to have you all today. I see that some folks are joining us. Maybe you attended the session previously where you spoke with our ESS advisors. If you did not, that is okay. But if you, either way, you're going to actually get an opportunity to hear from a student perspective. So you'll be listening to our amazing students. I have hand selected these students and I'm excited because they have a wealth of experiences. And also, I think I would say a lot of different experiences. So I think they really, really well represent Berkeley engineering transfers. And I know that you all have a lot of questions. So we want to make sure that we get to all of your questions. So I think we will officially go ahead and get started. And we will start with introductions. My name is Tiffany Reardon, and I work in Engineering Student Services, and I run the T-Prep program, which is a transfer pre-engineering program that I hope all of you will apply to. What we'll do is, yes, very nice, very nice. We will do this popcorn style, meaning I will call on someone, they'll introduce themselves, and then after they do, then they'll call on someone else and they'll introduce themselves. So popcorn style. So I'm going to start with Tucker.
All right. How's everyone doing? My name is Tucker Harvey. I transferred here to Berkeley in the fall from Saddleback College down in Orange County, studying electrical engineering and computer sciences. And this summer, I'll be interning at Pinterest. And yeah.
All right, so popcorn. So pick somebody.
And Ryan.
Hi, I'm Ryan Norris. I'm a mechanical engineering transfer. I transferred in 4 semesters ago. Next semester is my last undergrad semester. And I went to the Peralta system, which if you're from the Bay Area, it's College of Alameda, Laney, and BCC. Isella.
Thanks, Ryan. My name is Isella, and I'm a material science and engineering major, and I transferred from Moreno Valley College. And I'll go with Amelia.
Thank you. So my name is Amelia. I am an EX major, and I transferred from Maricosta College in San Diego County. Happy to be here.
Beautiful. So thank you so much. So I'm super excited because I know all of these students very well, and I'm really delighted that they were able to come today. So I invite you to type your questions. Type your questions that you have, and we will answer as many as we can. If there's a question that you really, really are like, oh, I want to, bump this question up, you can click on the thumbs up and that'll kind of, put the question up. So go ahead and type those and we'll get to as many as we can as possible. What I would like to ask is, let's see, there's a lot. Let's get it over with. What is this T-Prep program? So what is this T-Prep program? What is it about? And what are you going to do in the program? And I will open that up to anyone who would like to talk about their T-Prep experience. Now, this summer, the program will be online. But with that said, we will be on campus in the fall. So we will have on-campus activities. So I'm eager to hear folks' answers.
I'll hop in on with that first. Is T-Prep is super cool, and if you're going into engineering, you should definitely apply for it. It's a really good way to meet a bunch of people and meet a bunch of faculty and people like Tiffany, who is like the fixer in engineering. She's definitely the person you want to know. Like, she knows everybody or who to talk to when you want to get an answer for something. And it's it was one of the funnest things I've done at Berkeley so far. It's how I met like the first real core group of friends, including Isella. She was in my cohort, and I highly recommend it. And I also did a design assisting for last summer's T-Prep, which was all online. And it seemed like they were able to get like the vast majority of the experience even online. So it's still definitely a thing worth doing. Highly recommend.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'll piggyback off of what Ryan said. We were lucky enough to like be in person, so I think that like really bonded us. But I think definitely if you're thinking about applying, just do it, because coming in as a transfer, you might not know anyone, you might not have anyone transferring in with you, and like having at least people like familiar faces is such like a comforting feeling, and you definitely feel less alien like as a transfer. I think that can be like a common feeling we all get at some point. But yes, you create a much like more diverse network because you get to meet people from all other engineering majors, as well as staff. So I would 100%, I wouldn't be here if I didn't go to T-Prep, honestly. So yeah.
Yeah, and I'll chime in here because I was in last year's cohort, which was all online, and definitely I can't recommend it enough. I met a couple people through T-Prep in which, especially in a virtual semester, it was super helpful to go through some of these extremely tough classes and actually have people going through the kind of the same rigor as you. And I really have to say it has made like a lifetime of difference. So I really can't highly recommend it enough.
It's 100% free, so there is no charge for this program. So apply. We really want to see you in T-Prep, and the cool thing is that we will be together in fall. So that's a bonus. I actually haven't even met Tucker and Amelia in person, so I am super excited, and I owe them some chocolate. I owe all the panelists some chocolate. So Amelia, I have a question for you. You transferred from Maricosta College. What advice would you have for an incoming transfer student?
Right. I was trying to think about this because I saw this question pop up and I was like, oh my God. So one thing that really helped me, I think, it was very overwhelming to have so many different opportunities to explore. So unfortunately, I couldn't participate in T-Prep, but there was T-Prep, and then at the beginning of the semester, there were career fairs. There are a bunch of organizations, tons of student organizations that all seem so cool. And just so many programs, so much stuff going on like in this time as well for incoming people, and it was really overwhelming. And I think you need to kind of lean into this, into being overwhelmed, and try to participate in as many things as possible and explore as many things as possible, and kind of try to figure out which ones seem to be the best, because at the beginning of the fall semester, I was really active at looking at clubs I was interested in, and went to career fair, and I was able to participate in the club and then become a leadership, actually a funny story, a president of the club in my second semester, but it was kind of random. But then I was also able to secure an internship in my first semester because I just went to career fairs, and that's kind of, it was surprisingly accessible, and I was like, wow, that's Berkeley for you, I guess. That's that I was able to interview with these companies, and it was so cool. And yeah, so definitely, I know, because classes are going to be overwhelming too, but don't let that discourage you from participating in this extra stuff, because I feel like it's almost as important as your classes.
That's an excellent point, and I think that as transfer students, you bring so much to the table, right? You have work experience, you have life experience. Some of you have taken classes at multiple community colleges. which is not uncommon, research experience, just experience and life experience in general. And those skills, which are all translatable, it doesn't surprise me when folks say, oh, I have an internship this summer, oh, I'm doing research this summer, or oh, I'm president of a club. Of course you are, because you know what you're doing, right? So that's why we're really excited and why we're actively recruiting transfer students, because we know what they bring to the table. I'd like to ask a question to Ryan, because you are a mechanical engineer. So we have a question from Chris, and Chris would like to know, what is the Mechie program like in terms of mostly projects or mostly theory?
I mean, Berkeley is a really theory heavy school, so it's gonna be a lot of theory, like a lot of theory, but there are tons of cool, fun projects. Like, it's been harder with the online stuff, a lot of times it'll be like a, CAD something and kind of draw out a circuit diagram and get it all planned out and not make it. But like when we were live, yeah, projects are a big part of the curriculum too. I mean, you'll have, specific project classes like, 102B is like kind of the capstone. It'll probably be a class you'll want to take in your last 1 or 2 semesters, but like that class is just all about making one really cool project. Like it's, you get a good mix of both, but this is definitely a more theory heavy school than someplace like a San Luis Obispo or something where you'd have a lab for every class. So yeah, but be prepared for theory, lots of calculus.
Great. How about Res Life? So we have a question from Cindy, and Cindy has a good question. Did you guys live on campus when you transferred over? And advice, on campus versus off campus?
Yeah, I lived off campus just because on campus, I think it's like a raffle. So you don't get to actually secure your spot. It was definitely interesting to like find housing, like scrambling to find housing. I was like lucky I got a single, so I had like my own room, which was good. And where I lived, like I lived with other students, mostly graduate students actually. So as long as you can find somewhere that's like a walkable distance to class, I think you're good, roommate troubles and stuff that will come in any on or off campus. But if you can just be within walking or busing distance, I think you'll be okay.
So you lived off campus, and Tucker, thus far you've lived, what about in fall?
Yeah, I'm technically, I guess off campus, but I'm pretty close. I'm about half a mile. And kind of my situation will be different than a lot of other people. I actually kind of am renting from a family member, so I'm probably not the best person in terms of like housing advice and how to find housing. I have a lot of friends from T-Prep asking, can't give them good advice on that. But I would say, yeah, as long, kind of what was being said earlier, if you're in walking distance, you'll be fine. I know a lot of other people from, either Berkeley or other UCs, and you'll find housing. Just be patient with it. Don't be frustrated, and just kind of have faith that the process will play out. So many students go through this every single year. So.
I actually commute, but I do know there are lots of like Facebook groups and stuff like that where people talk about housing, share leads, find roommates and stuff like that. I know that all that stuff is very, very available. There's a lot of resources for finding and kind of talking about housing.
Definitely. And think about it. Think about, all the students that are graduating, all the grad students, there's always housing. The key is you want to make sure that you check your email. Very important. You check your email and that you apply for housing. Okay, so we have a question. This is in regards to EECS. So this will be for our EECS transfers. So the question is from Luke. And so the question that Luke has is, a lot of EECS prereqs were not available at my community college. how is the workload to catch up speed, and what is the normal time to degree? So I think that it's a two-part question. Is one, if your classes didn't articulate to Berkeley and CS, should you worry, and is that gonna put you behind?
Yeah, so I can start. So most of my classes, well, pretty much all of my core CS classes did not matriculate whatsoever, including my data structures class. You won't be behind. There's so many different ways to go about it. Generally, so even with, considering that none of my classes for computer science matriculated at all, it's still possible to do it in 4. I wouldn't recommend it. Definitely, if you can, you're given a 5th semester. You can comfortably do the 5th semester. However, if you take a summer class, at some point, you can definitely ease the workload. But it's definitely doable. But it's not easy. You're definitely gonna have to work. But I would definitely say it's doable. There was a second part to that question, right? Did I answer that?
So does it put you behind? Like, will you not?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. You're definitely not going to be behind at all. Because I know very few people who had enough stuff to matriculate at all. So that's just kind of the Berkeley way. And you'll appreciate it. I appreciate that some of my stuff didn't matriculate, to be honest. So I think you'll enjoy that.
Definitely. Yeah, that I'm always surprised when students come and they think like, oh, I didn't think that I was the only one. But if you look and assist, that there are a lot of schools with few exceptions that fully articulate. So some students will have to take what we call a bridge course. I think it's a 47B course. But then some students are like, you know what, I want to take the Berkeley class, and there's nothing wrong with that. And you're not going to be behind. So I think that, obviously if you have some programming experience, that's a bonus, but you're not going to be behind, and you're going to be in good company, because that's the case for other students. Here's a question that we have from, here's something, this is from Kobe, and I like Kobe's question, because we keep hearing a lot about GBO and GBA, right? You might notice everything has bear in it, right? So Golden Bear advising, Golden Bear orientation, but Kobe's question is about GBO, which is Golden Bear orientation. What do transfers do during GBO?
Okay, I'll answer this one. So you're thrown in a group with people who are and aren't transfers, so you'll be just like normal. It won't be, you're not like alienated in GBO. But if you went to T Prep, you might have kind of skipped a lot of GBO because you already made your friends. But I would still recommend going. There are stuff you have to go to that's mandatory, and you do get to meet other people from other majors, and yeah.
A lot of free food. You get a lot of free food, and it's good free food.
I believe it'll be online as well this year. So the stuff that you do not want to skip, well, you shouldn't skip any of it, but most importantly, your ESS and college. So when we talk about the college, sometimes people are like, what does she mean college? College, when we say college, we're talking about the College of Engineering. And then when we say department, so that's your specific department. So like the EECS department, the civil engineering department, the bioengineering department, because your departments will have a lot of events as well that'll be put on. Just in terms of the terminology, some things that are kind of different from the onset. You might notice that we call our ESS advisors. I know at the community college, we say counselors. Is basically the same thing, right? So your ESS counselor is called the ESS advisor, and they'll help you through what's called GBA. Does anyone want to talk about what GBA is and maybe kind of what to expect and some tips for having a successful GBA? The Golden Bear advising in June. you know, when you say like, I'm going to take 90 units and they say, no, you're not. Which actually leads me to a question from Cindy. Cindy, you got some good questions, Cindy. Cindy asked, how did classes at Berkeley compare to the classes you took at community college? Because I talked to a lot of transfer students and they'll say, well, I was taking 8 classes, no problem. Can you take 8 classes in College of Engineering? No, okay. So, tell us more. Tell us, maybe Amelia, how many classes you took potentially at Miracosta versus your course load now?
Yeah, it is definitely not the same. It's so much harder. Even like lower divisions, you would think that, oh yeah, I've taken similar classes already. I know how to code, so I'll be fine. And then you take 61A, which is like introduction into computer fundamentals or whatnot, and it's like, oh no. It takes so long to kind of do assignments, and it takes longer time to prepare for exams because your assignments and lectures and discussions usually don't give you enough to be prepared for the exam. So you have to spend extra time to be prepared for exams. So at community college, I could take I wasn't crazy at community college. I would take, I think 19 units was the biggest, and that was semester units. 19 or 17, something like that. I know people who took like 24 or something. That's just crazy to me. But yeah, but I also was doing a lot of stuff at the same time. So I was also involved in like student orgs. I was doing some internships on campus. So I was always doing like multiple things at the same time. And I was able to pull it off. And then here I was trying to do the same thing, but I was taking the normal load. I was taking like 13 units in the first semester. It was very tough. It was probably also the online part of it too that was kind of hard to get connected with students, so a bit demotivating as well. But it was really tough to have like these 3 lower divisions, and I only had 2 techs, I think, in my first semester. Oh, I also had a math class, so yeah, it was kind of 2.5 techs, and so it was really tough because I was also going to career fairs and trying to get involved in the club and all that stuff, and I didn't get a 4.0 I had in my community college that I was able to pull off. So you have to definitely be prepared that you will you'll either have to accept that you won't do perfectly, or you'll have to put a lot of work into your classes.
I think that's the biggest shock is that the students think, well, am I slacking off? Like, I'm only taking 4 classes. I'm used to taking 19, 20 and working. But you're not, because you know, if you're going to career fairs and if you're going to clubs and you're doing those things, that's part of your experience, right? So that's a big part of it. So I think it's just a matter of getting used to that. It's not something that's been asked, but I want to make sure that we do cover it. Yusela, what is a discussion section? Because they're going to hear about that. And I think as they hear what a discussion section is, then it might make sense, like, oh, that's why we don't want to overload.
Yeah, so you'll have, let's say you have 2 lectures a week or 3 for the same class. There will be about maybe more. I've had classes where there are like 4 different discussion sections all at different times. And most of the time you can jump into any one of them, even though you're like assigned to one or enroll in one. But a GSI, graduate student instructor, will, they're gonna basically work out the problems for you. Because like Ryan said, it's very, like in class, everything's very theoretical. You're hardly ever doing like example problems. And in community college, a lot of the base of the class is like doing problems together. So that is where you would get that. You get a graduate student and you guys are pretty much solving the problems for similar problems to the homework or practice problems for midterms and finals.
Thank you. So we have a couple other questions. One question is from Sophia Romero. So Sophia wants to know, for Bio-E, do you know if you have to pick your concentration before transferring? No, you do not. You don't even need to, pick your concentration before transferring. In fact, many students don't know what they want to focus on prior to transferring, and that's completely okay. And those that do sometimes change it. So no, you do not. And then the other question that I will answer was a question, do we take, this is from Anonymous, wants to know, is T-Prep available at ChemE students or just College of Engineering? Yes, we do take ChemEs. So if you have friends that are in ChemE, we would love to have them in T-Prep. So invite them to apply. Okay, other question from Anonymous. How was the adjustment to university for you as a transfer student coming from community college? And I realized that, you had the remote experience and then you had the in-person experience, but I would say just overall, what was it like transitioning?
I think Amelia touched on this earlier, but it's important to realize that this is a different beast than community college. I mean, if all you guys that are transferring here, I assume you're somewhere between a 3.5 and a 4.0 plus, and probably wasn't the hardest thing in the world to do, and it's different here. Like, I would say, for that first semester, like, really pare back on what you think. I would actually recommend taking like the minimum amount of units, 12 units, and like getting a feel for the school first, because the rigor is completely different. Like the atmosphere is completely different, and everybody on campus is smart. Like, there's not a lot of slackers here. Like but like, I also don't want to like make it seem like it's a competitive environment. I mean, there is some competition kind of built into it, but it also is just like a kind of a weird band of brothers thing where you will find people and work with them to like get through this together, because it's not easy. Like, and this is not the easy school to go to.
So with that,
don't not come because of that. It is fun.
So with that, actually, Eric would like to know, what's the social campus life like at Berkeley? What do you do for fun? How do you socialize? When we're not in a pandemic, of course, or maybe during the pandemic.
I socialize by doing homework and studying.
Well, I think those study groups, right? I mean, students can definitely, and most of our transfer students, I love it because most of our transfer students are very, very efficient with their schedules. They'll put together a spreadsheet and they'll say, okay, who's taking this class? Who's taking that class? What are you taking? What section are you in? And then before you know it, they'll have a Discord. They'll have a the other one, the Slack. They'll have a group me. They'll have text threads, whatever, and they'll all collaborate. And all of you will do that too, and you'll have fun. I mean, you'll enjoy it. Yeah, it's hard, but you're all very smart. That's why you got in. So you're definitely up for the challenge. We have a question from Haik. Haik wants to know, how was the career fair online? Will there be in-person career fairs this year? I'm not sure how they'll be, but I'm fairly certain that we'll have both, maybe some online, maybe some in-person ones. But maybe some, just kind of an overview of what a career fair is and what it's like for you.
I wanted to I've been telling everyone that online career fairs are probably better than in-person career fairs, because you don't have to wait in line and you get to make an appointment with a recruiter and you just get this 10 minutes with a recruiter one-on-one, and you're able to safely chat with them rather than just drop your resume off or something. And I've heard that EECS career fairs can be brutal when they're in person. They're ridiculously long lines, especially for those fancy companies. I do want to point out that companies that are more popular, like I saw that with SpaceX or Google, they didn't do one-on-one sessions. Unfortunately, they only did group sessions, as far as I remember. So that's kind of a minus, because you're not really able to get a one-on-one, but more chill companies, they do, a lot of companies do have one-on-one appointments, and those were really great for me. It was really cool to be able to do that. Yeah, I haven't participated in myself in an in-person, so maybe somebody else can talk on that.
In person, it's like you're sweaty and there's just a bunch of people and you're like nervous because you have to talk to this person for like 5 minutes and they're just kind of like looking at you, and you gotta come up with something to say so that they like write your name down and you're like actually, gonna get through to them. But I think the experience of doing it, and like just do it, go in line. If you kind of stumble a little bit, that's fine. The more practice you get, it's going to get easier to talk to people. So I would do it just for the experience of like introducing yourself, being able to talk about yourself and what you want for like the future. But I know people who went to career fairs and got internships, so it's all about, how long you want to wait in line and how much time you want to dedicate to it.
And we have career fair prep sessions in ESS. So we're not going to say, okay, bye, go take your resume and go. And as you can, know, all of our panelists have secured internships, research, things like that. So don't, and here's the truth. The recruiters don't want to be there either. I mean, they, they don't want to be there. You don't want to be there. The best way, to be honest, to get a internship or things like that are referrals. So if you know someone who's working at that company, or if there's someone that you talk to, those are probably the best way, the most effective way. But I think it is very important for you to explore these companies to see what they're about, because maybe that's exactly what you want to do and you just weren't aware. Lots of questions about time to graduation. So I want to make sure that we get those. So Jason has a question. How many semesters does it usually take to graduate? 4 or 5? I think it depends on how many classes that you come in with, but I think, well, for the group, how many, maybe raise your hand, like how many you think? Yeah, so 5. So I think students, you can get an extra semester if you ask for one. So if you're, worried, like you're going to be in this time crunch, you can definitely ask for it. Also, some students, if they're like in a rush to graduate, they can of course take summer classes. Although I don't know if I would necessarily encourage that, because if you take summer classes, then you can't do internships or research. So you might want to save those. But have any of you taken summer classes? It looks like Kobe had a question about the summer classes. What's it like taking a summer class? It's very quick. I will tell you that it's extremely quick, extremely quick. So that's something to take into consideration. Another question. Oh, this is a good one. From Omar. Omar would like to know, how competitive are research opportunities at Berkeley? Have any of you done research?
I think it varies. At Berkeley, I've heard of students just talking to their professors and getting a position. It's really that easy. I've also heard of people applying to a million and getting, none. So it just depends. But I would say try both. Try talking to your professors, get them to, like you. And that's a really good in. But don't be afraid to apply to things because, like, I did that this semester where I was just like, I'm finally gonna do it. I'm just gonna start applying to things, and I got one. So just try. You're going to Berkeley. People want you, on their research teams. So just try.
Great. Where are you going? Where are you going to do research?
Oh, I'm gonna be at the University of Utah, doing research for I'm gonna be looking at dirt basically, but I'm like super excited about it. It's like, yeah.
Very cool. Amelia?
Yeah, I haven't, so take my advice with a grain of salt because I've only just chatted with a bunch of people, other students and professors about it, not because I have research continuing from my RAU, so I haven't gotten a research position at Berkeley yet. But I have heard that sometimes, especially when the research group you're interested in is pretty big, it might be more efficient to meet and get a relationship with a grad student or postdoc rather than a professor. And in that way, if you can kind of get them to be like, oh yeah, help me out with this project on this part. So in that sense, you won't have to talk to a professor that's more intimidating, but you're still able to work with a group and they can recommend you to the professor to join the group. So I think in a lot of situations that might be a good way to get into the research group. Yeah, so that was my 5 cents.
Okay, we have another question. Do you need a car?
No, I'm going to say that right now. No, you do not need a car. I intentionally didn't bring my car. There's so many different ways to get around. Obviously, if you're living further from campus, you might, if you're commuting in, you'll need a car, but you're still going to have to do a lot of walking. There's one thing I really do absolutely love about Berkeley is you can pretty much walk everywhere. You can take the train in the city. I guess maybe some of the other panelists have different opinions. I think absolutely don't bring a car. You don't need, the headache of worrying about your car or parking. There's plenty of ways to get around.
Ryan, you're a commuter. Do you public transit or car?
I drive in and yeah, driving in Berkeley kind of sucks. Parking sucks. If you get here late, you got to park way up on the hill. It's not that great. If you can avoid having a car, definitely do that because and everything is reachable. I don't know if you guys haven't seen the actual campus yet, but there's campus and then all on engineering side, there's strips of restaurants and little places to eat and corner stores. And on the other side is Telegraph, which is the big main street in Berkeley, where it's anything kind of cool you'd want to buy, your record stores, clothing shops, whatever, food, everything is walkable if you are in Berkeley. If you have to commute like me, then you'll probably need a car and you'll also probably want to get a parking pass. But if you can avoid a car, it's definitely the way to go.
You also get the parking, the bus pass, the AC Transit on your student ID. So you can use that and you can use that free. You can take the bus into San Francisco. So it's definitely a walkable city if you like to walk. Definitely good questions. Okay, so another question would be, I'm getting this question a lot. So Amir is asking, what would happen if someone needed more than 5 semesters to fulfill all the units? Is it possible to do a 6th? Well, here's the deal. Sometimes students will do study abroad. So if you do study abroad, you work with your engineering student services advisor to do that. Sometimes students will do an externship, i.e. a gap semester where they work full time. All of these, scenarios, right? Sometimes students will take a reduced course load, right? So there's no real blanket answer, yes, you can, no, you can't. It's really your ESS advisor, like they're there to work with you and to go over your individual plan. So if you come in and you're like, my school didn't offer these, CS classes, or, I don't have all these strongly recommended, or, I want to do study abroad, or I want to do an externship or whatever, they're willing to work with you. So, don't worry about that so much, but it is good that you're thinking ahead, but definitely they'll work with you. I think the main thing is though, is you have to, keep connected with them, to do that. Let's see. This is a good question. I know that a major in aerospace is not offered at Berkeley, but do you know how much the program would differ from majoring in mechanical and minoring in aero versus majoring in aero at another school? That's a good question. So we do not have the aerospace major yet. We do have the minor, but we have obviously a lot of mechanical engineers that work in industry in aerospace. So we have students that go on to, PhD programs in aerospace. We have students that work at places like Lockheed Martin and Boeing, another, Northrop and all the aerospace companies. So SpaceX, but you definitely will see that. I mean, I think that it sounds like the students may be kind of going between, going to a school where they got into aerospace versus Berkeley, which has mechanical, which actually leads me to my question. All of you got into other schools, right? So Ryan, why did you pick Berkeley for mechanical?
Well, I'm a Bay Area local. I've lived here since I was like a little kid, and Berkeley has kind of always been synonymous with like kind of the good school. You know what I mean? Like it's a really good school. And then if you just look at the numbers, especially for mechanical, I think we're 2 or 3 in the world, the nation. Either one, we're really good. It's really good. So like I went here because A, it's a great school, and B, it's one of the schools you go to for engineering. So, yeah. And I was only going to apply to just this one school, but my wife made me apply to more schools in case I didn't get in.
And the rest of our folks are SoCal, so you all had to relocate. So what made you decide to come to Berkeley?
So I wanted to get as far away from home as possible. That's one reason. But I also, it's especially for computer science, Berkeley is, basically one of the best that you can really be at, and it's close to Silicon Valley. And it was going to provide it was going to just be a challenge for me. I wanted to push myself, be around other incredibly smart and talented students and professors. And so it was kind of a bunch of things that made me want to really come to Berkeley.
Yeah, I think any engineering major, you're probably choosing Berkeley because it's like probably one of the top schools for that engineering major. But I like also just chose Berkeley because I like Tucker. I just wanted to get away from SoCal, and I like Bay Area weather a lot, so I went with Berkeley.
That's awesome. I agree with all those points too, especially stuff that Tucker mentioned. Also was in my mind as well. I did dream about coming to Berkeley. So I immigrated to the US right after high school. And I knew I was coming to a community college, but I was looking at where I'm going to transfer. And I was specifically looking at Berkeley to transfer. So it was kind of when I got accepted, I was kind of like, it is my dream school. Like, how can I reject that? But I do want to mention a con that I was thinking about so that I can address it, but because maybe other people would are thinking about it too. I was already pretty interested in research by the time I was transferring. And I knew from other people that in such big schools, it's really hard to get personal relationships with a professor and hard to stand out. And that is really important if you're applying for grad school, specifically PhD programs. And it is definitely a challenge. It can be kind of scary to try to talk to professors or apply for research positions because there is a lot of competition. However, it's not impossible. And one thing that I already learned at the community college, and I confirmed here at Berkeley, is that if you participate in kind of student organizations or clubs in the research area you're interested in, chances are you're going to have to talk to professors about it and get their advice or help on everything. And that's a really good way to build a relationship with a professor. So basically, it was one thing that made me, the research opportunities was one thing that made me strongly like think about it, because I was like, I thought that maybe I would hurt my chances of getting into PhD programs. However, I think the pros kind of are, there are more pros than this cons. It's definitely still possible to become a good grad school applicant here.
Absolutely. On that note, I don't know who's going into the 5th year master's program. Ryan is going to be a 5th year master's in ME. So I realize some schools will call it the 4+1 or 2+3, or they have different names, but here we call it the 5th year. The 5th year master's program is basically a program where you stay an extra year and you get a 5th year master's. That's why we call it that. So, certainly that's an option as well. I know that some schools do not, just as a general rule, they don't like to take their own students. That's not the case at Berkeley. Berkeley wants their own students. So if grad school is, on the horizon, then know that, we do take our own students and we admit them happily. A couple other questions. So Amir had a question, does it even work to live in a different city, say Walnut Creek? I have had students, it's funny you said Walnut Creek, because I've had students that have lived in Walnut Creek and commuted. I had a student that lived in Tracy. Wasn't the most ideal, but they did it, and they did very well. I think a family member was commuting. I've had students that lived in the South Bay, all over. But yeah, I mean, if you have a car, reliable transportation, and things like that, then you can definitely make it work. This is a good question, because I can relate to this one. So Haik wants to know, the gym is very important to me. How is the Berkeley gym? Do y'all use the RSF?
Hasn't been open the entire time I've been here, so maybe someone else can answer.
So RSF is cool. If you can get your own locker, that helps. There's a lot, what I used a lot, I didn't really go into the gym as much, but I would, there's like classes, RSF classes. So I would do like yoga and have like all these different times. There's like aerobics. So that's like a really good, like fun way to like fit in something. And it's like a class and I'm not like alone. I don't like working out alone. So that's kind of why, but there's like a secret, it's not a secret, but there's like another gym by the stadium, and has less equipment, but RSF gets packed. So if you can, and if you don't like packed gyms, then I would suggest, I don't know the name of it, but the gym by the stadium.
And some of the units also have gyms as well, I believe. Yeah, I forget which units, but some of them. Will the gym be open this fall? Probably. I don't know when. I know they're using that space right now for some of the COVID testing, but I'm I'm sure it'll open at some point because they need to use it, right? Other question. Oh, this is a good question from Kobe. Did you need to take the GRE for the 5th year MS program?
Yeah, no, you didn't, which is one of the reasons. That's one of the programs I was interested in. You don't have to take any standardized testing, but it still works similar to other applications. You have to write out, provide all your transcripts and write your statements of personal history and everything and get your letters of rec, but no GREs or standardized testing was required.
Good to know. Another question. I haven't heard the best things about the meal plans. Is that true? I mean, here's what I would say. You can have steak and lobster every day and you're going to get sick of it. So I don't know. What do folks think about the meal plans?
The only time I had a meal plan was during prep. So I mean, it's cafeteria food. I'm not gonna lie, but you can still find a way. Like I had friends who like to get like better chicken, you order like halal chicken. Like there's little hacks to like getting better food at those cafeterias for sure.
Just like Gisela said, I only had the meal plan during tea prep, but like, yeah, some of the food was like really, really good. Like one day they had like tri-tip and, vegetables and all sorts of other good stuff. And then like another day it'd be like chicken nuggets or fish sticks. So it's like, it was kind of hit or miss too. So
I think Berkeley students tend to be foodies because they get a lot of free food at the info sessions. So like, like me in the info sessions that the industry folks come to. So like maybe, for example, they're like, oh, we're giving out free pizza. And students will be like, well, what kind of pizza? Is it slivers or is it cheese board, right? Which mean probably nothing to you all right now. But if you decide to come to Berkeley, you'll be like, oh yeah, like sliver or cheese board or Laval's or whatever. There are a lot of really good restaurants in the area. I mean, there's some good food. So you'll definitely eat well, and there's always free food. I mean, that's the funny thing is, there's always events and there's free food and things like that. But like I said, I mean, you could have, steak and lobster every single day, and at some point you're going to get tired of it, right? So the free food, and then, but I will say that the units, they do have a pretty robust offerings, and they have dietitians. So if you have any, special meal restrictions, they can accommodate those. So that's not an issue at all. Just want to make sure that I get to questions. How do you know, this is from Cindy, how do you know which classes to take for your first semester? How did you all know what to take your first semester?
On the website, they kind of have like a template, like a suggested template, but I mean, there's what if you are, I don't know, is everyone admitted already?
Yes.
Well, in Cal Central, they'll have like kind of your academic progress report, and that'll basically just tell you everything you need to do to graduate. And so you can just kind of go down that list and pick a couple of things. Like I C85, if you're a Mechie, you probably have to take statics. So I took C85. I took one tech. I took there's an American, what was it, AC? I forget what they're called. American culture.
American cultures, yeah.
Yeah, like yeah, you want to check one of those off. Check off one of your upper div. Social sciences, was it? No.
Yeah, I mean, HSS.
There's like just a bunch of boxes you got to check. And so I mean, again, saying like that first semester, probably take it chill. I would take, a tech, maybe one of your kind of lower div classes, maybe take one of your AC classes for like a break from all the math, and, or just follow that template. But also your advisor will totally be there to tell you like, no, you should take this now. You should take this now, And then
when you do GBA, they'll give you you send them what you're planning to take, and then they'll send you something back and say, well, this is what we kind of recommend.
Yeah.
The minors, is anyone, there's another question. Do you recommend minoring in engineering or doing a simultaneous major in another college, like majoring in math, for example? Any of you pursuing a minor or a simultaneous degree? So I think for the most part, students are probably like really, really busy. So maybe not.
Yeah, I would say it's very ambitious, and unless you really know what you're going to use it for, you're going to be plenty busy with your regular major and everything else going on, especially if you want to do research or internships or make friends. Like, you're going to be plenty busy. There's plenty of people who do it, but personally, just, take it easy, really.
Absolutely.
I'd say better than half the people I know like had ambitions of doing a minor. I was like, oh, maybe I'll minor in EECS. And then that first week of that first semester let you know really quick that, maybe I'll just stay in my lane.
Good advice. Definitely good advice. Another question, when do internship and career fairs going to be this fall? They usually start in, for the last few years, they've had a internship and career fair in August. I believe it's right after Golden Bear orientation. And then they start, the Career Center website has a pretty good list of all the career fairs and when they'll happen. And then of course the departmental internship fairs, career fairs, info sessions. So what I would recommend to all of you transfer students is start working on your resume. Start working on your resume, and then have the resume ready, and then come to the Career Center or come to ESS or have someone check it out, look at it, and then attend those. And the question is, do we have to sign up for these fairs? Some of them, yes. Some of them, if it's just a an info session, no. But it really depends on those. But definitely there's a lot to go to. Is there a career fair for clubs? Good question. Yes, there is a career fair for clubs. There's Calapalooza. Is that the career fair for clubs? There's Calapalooza, and then also during the GBO, there's a club fair, and then there's also a number of different fairs. So they're also recruiting as well. So you can learn about those. Are any of you involved in any clubs? Amelia, you said you're a president of a club. So if you want to pitch your club, or anyone wants to pitch their club, this is your commercial if you like.
Well, we have a quantum computing club, so if anyone is interested, it's open to everyone. We don't have a membership. That's one thing that's weird about clubs at Berkeley, is that some of them are actually like competitive. You have to apply to participate, and there's like a selection process. That's not quantum computing club. You can come in and join us for some events and learn about quantum computing. We're pretty chill about that. Yeah. And Calapalooza is a cool resource. I think it's more fun in person from what I've heard. Online, it's kind of boring, but that's okay. Hopefully we'll have some. Yeah, and most of the clubs also have like a website. So if you Google something that you're like interested in, I found quantum computing in Berkeley because I literally Googled quantum computing in Berkeley, and that's what popped up. So there's also CalLink, which has a list of all clubs. Once you accept your offer and have your ID number, you're able to log into CalLink and see the list of all clubs available.
Great. All right. We have run out of time, unfortunately, but I want to thank all of our panelists for coming here and taking their time. I know that this is a very happy time. I mean, obviously, when folks found out that they got into Berkeley and other top schools, that they're excited and happy. But then it's also really like, should I go here? Should I go there? Right. So we know that you're kind of, trying to make that decision. And if we are lucky enough to have you come to Berkeley, I know that you will do phenomenal here. And we're here to support you. And if you have any questions and you kind of want some more information to make that decision, please feel free to reach out to us. And ultimately, this is a good problem to have, right? It's a good problem to have all these exciting opportunities, and really congratulate yourself, because you worked really hard to get into Berkeley, and you clearly have demonstrated your passion and your interest, and that's why we want you to come here, because you have that passion and you have that interest, and we really want to help you to kind of whether it's grad school, whether it's industry, whether it's doing a startup, like whatever it is you want to do. And maybe you don't know what you want to do, and that's totally fine too, because a lot of students think they know what they want to do, and then they discover something else and they say, oh, that's not what I want to do at all, right? So we're eager to meet you, luckily in person in fall, which is great. I'm super happy about that. And we wanted to say thank you. Thank you for joining us. And what do we always say at these events? I know, but it's just kind of fun. What do we always say? Yeah. Okay, so on the count of 3. All right, count of 3. 1, 2, 3.
Go
Go
Bears.
Bears.
Cheers.
Go Bears.